On today's show, Dallas Mavericks should have absolutely traded Anthony Davis when they had the chance. But what if they never did have the chance? We'll tell you why today's Locked On Mavs.
This is Flagg, and you're listening to Locked On Mavs.
I think that's a good question.
Good morning, Isaac. All these changes, I still got my dog Dwight Powell.
Your daily Dallas Mavericks podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Still can't leave.
Your team every day.
I'm going to get a city like back.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks, your team every day. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member covering the Mavs for over 10 years. Thanks for being in every day and making Locked On Mavs the first listen and making the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network out there. Joining me, as always, my co-host, media member covering the Mavs for over 10 years, right alongside me, the baby daddy knew the one more thing king. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
No baby yet.
It's coming. It's coming.
I did do a Locked On Mavs Insider subtext Q&A from the hospital yesterday. Went in for some, thought the baby was coming, but I was like, psych, staying up in here for a little bit. And we'll see in the next 24, 48 hours if you see a car just going like 100 on 635 to get to the hospital, that's me. It's our third kid, and we've heard that third kids come very fast.
The Q&A in the hospital doesn't beat Zach Blackerby of Locked On Auburn doing a show from the hospital room after the baby was born, just still in the hospital room.
All right, Zach, I see you. Challenge accepted.
Today's episode, we're taking the challenge of talking about the Mavs rumors. Daniel Gafford linked to Atlanta, Indiana, and Boston. What are deals that they can do for that? What about Naji Marshall and Klay Thompson's trade value? We'll talk about that. But let's start here, Isaac Harris, because the biggest talk right now is about Anthony Davis, and you went on an epic rant the other day about how the Mavericks should have absolutely traded Anthony Davis when they had the chance. He had this hand injury. It's a ligament injury. He's going to be out a minimum of 6 weeks, which takes you through the trade deadline. Mark Stein has reported over and over again. It basically takes away the idea of a trade before the trade deadline. I guess it could still happen, but essentially he seems like he's going to be on the roster. The Mavs have to take this into the offseason and figure out what they're going to do with Anthony Davis and this whole thing this summer. And so now there's rumors from Mark Stein and others saying, quote, the Hawks, league sources say, have been insisted they were never willing to add former #1 pick Zachary Ricochet to the expiring contracts of Porzingis and Luke Kennard in an offer for Davis. Mark Stein was on the DLS show with our friends there talking about how there was never really an offer for Anthony Davis. And so are you
with Ricochet in the deal? With
Ricochet in the deal. Are you as mad if the Mavericks never had an offer really for Anthony Davis? Because what if that was the case? What if there was never really an offer for him and they were like, all right, we're trying to trade him, but they just couldn't?
Okay. There's a difference. There's a key difference when it comes to this conversation because I got some of the feedback after me being so fiery the other day and the rant about it was like, well,
Fiery Isaac back again. I missed Fiery Isaac.
I'm like, why were you so mad about the Mavs not trading him if they never had the chance to trade him? Did they have the offer with Ricochet in the deal? Was that ever confirmed? No. But was a deal? Do we know what they were looking for? Yes. Of all this reporting, even in the past 24 hours, it's because someone asked us in our insider program of hey, was there ever a reported, deal, or what's the deal out there? And it's and the question or the statement that we've heard different times is, well, if we never know if the Mavs had a deal on the table that they actually liked and wanted. And it was that's the difference of all of this, right? Because we can go all the way back because, did I? Yes, I did. Just casually. I didn't spend a ton of time on it. December 27th, Chris Haynes said the Mavs are prioritizing young assets, expiring contracts, picks. We know that there was multiple times reported on them liking Ricochet and Jonathan Kuminga. Chris Mannix is saying that they've asked over and over again. They want the Pelicans pick. January 7th, Dallas wants expiring contracts and a nice, promising young player. A Bay Area reporter on January 7th says the Mavs don't have interest in taking Draymond Green back. They're interested in Warriors, but they don't want Draymond's contract. January 9th, a local Raptors guy saying that the expectation is the Mavs are demanding 2 first-round picks from Anthony Davis. I say all of that to say that the Mavs, and this is why I was frustrated the other day, the Mavs were setting a bar with what they wanted back for a return for Anthony Davis. And even in this latest Stein piece yesterday, of saying that the Hawks were never willing to put Ricochet in the deal with Porzingis and Kennard, meaning that Porzingis and Kennard was in the deal. Like there's the deal. You know, you only have to add like a handful of $1 million after that. They could have put like another random, contract in there with Kennard and KP's expirings and then ship that off for AD, and that would have worked. So it's just a matter of, it's semantics and like all this stuff, but it's a matter of like how low of a bar. If you were willing to ship off Anthony Davis for just expiring contracts and not getting a guy like Ricochet back, I detailed the 3 things they should be looking for. At the very beginning, I was like, hey, I hope they get 2 out of those 3 things. That would be the desire. So did they have a deal on the table of like everything that they wanted and they said no? Probably not, based off the reporting. But could they have traded Anthony Davis and lowered everything that has been reporting on for the weeks and over a month of like, they're wanting this, they're wanting this, they're wanting this? That's where I'm saying it's kind of mismanaged on Dallas's point of saying you're willing to hold on to him and demand these certain things when I think you should have lowered the bar and said, I want to be out of this business right now. And I'm really, really dang confident you could have been out of the Anthony Davis business if you wanted to be out of the business.
I think they got so stuck on this idea of, well, it's going to be the aggregated return of the Luka Doncic trade. And people are going to say, that's all you got for Luka Doncic was, Max Christie, 1 first-round pick, and these expiring contracts. Well, look at what the Hawks just had to do. The Hawks had a distressed asset who plays more games than Anthony Davis, is younger than Anthony Davis, still has his own issues and all that, and Trae Young, and they just literally send him for 2 expiring contract and an undesirable contract by the Wizards. They kind of had to take a penalty to take him on, and that's. I think that's the thing. If you're not willing to take the Trae Young package for Anthony Davis, then yeah, you could sit here and have the whole semantics talk of like, well, they never had an offer better than that on the table, so they couldn't have made a trade. You can't tell me that you couldn't have gotten made a good trade.
Exactly. That's the thing. Or like what you think he should have brought you back type of thing. But could you have traded him? Yes.
Stein even said they didn't have a palatable deal. That was a specific thing that he said, and I was like, ooh, well then, could you had a deal that tasted bad, that wasn't like good for your palate, but then it was like, all right, I'm gonna eat this kale right now because it's gonna be good for me later, but it's not gonna taste good for me right now. Like, yeah,
for sure. And it's like, yeah, yeah, it's the palatable part of it. That's the word out of all of it of like, for the Mavs tasting, they didn't have a deal on the table that they ever liked. And if they did, they probably would have swung for it, right?
The trade offers are like different plates of food in front of you, and you get to sample it. Here's a sample of the Porzingis and Luke Kennard contract.
Porzingis Kennard is like, dude, you're gonna have to add some salt on that or something. So it's just semantics. It's just semantics at this point. Obviously, the Mavs don't want you to like. They want you to know, like, hey, it's not like we've been turning down all these deals, and I don't think they were. I'm not saying any of the reporting's like wrong or anything like that. It's way more than
the Mavs. The Mavs were greedy and they were demanding too much. Like I don't know if that was the case, but I
think you can say a little bit of that. I do, because if they weren't greedy, then they could have made a deal.
But there wasn't a decent deal out there for them, and so they're like, all right, well, we're not gonna take a bad deal or like a deal that really doesn't give us any assets. But I think that's
in everybody's determining
superstar value for him.
Everybody's determining of what decent is. That's the difference. Yeah. There are people in the camp that would have said, yeah, sign me up. If it was Porzingis, Kennard, and Veit, and there's people out there that would do that, right? Like, I would honestly think about it because it's full expiring contracts. You get out of the business. You don't have to do this thing. And like, you just clear the slate and move forward. And some people are like, oh, that's mismanagement and all this stuff. I hear that too. The thing that I can't like fully agree on is the Mavericks never could have, they couldn't have traded Anthony Davis at all. They could have traded Anthony Davis. It's just a matter of they couldn't get what they wanted to, or even maybe even close to what they wanted to.
We value just getting off of the contract, getting out of the situation more than getting assets. To me, and that would have been an asset, is to get out of this whole situation, get out of this whole deal and all that. And so now they take it into the summer. At least now it seems like from the rumors and the people talking, like there's not going to be extension talks. Like he's got to prove that he can
They
stay
better
healthy
not.
in order to be any kind of extension talks like that. And so
When have you heard that one before?
what?
He's got to be healthy. I heard it again a few days ago on a national pod. They're like, you know what? He's got to get out there and like get on the court. I'm like, dude, this is what we've been saying for ever, like ever since the Houston groin thing. And then Nico gets fired. Like, there's been, somebody had the graphic the other day online of like the 5 or 6 different injuries that he's had, and you went through them, and yeah, but anyway,
He's like a Pokemon card. You're playing him with an energy.
There's all the different.
Here's the calf strain energy. Here's the water energy.
The Mavericks had a bar that they wanted to get to for Anthony Davis in order to trade him. No team met that bar, and now they're stuck with it for the time being. So, me personally, I think the bar should have been lower, and therefore you could have traded him. And that's why I went on my rant the other day, and I still stand by it. And there you go.
You know who else stands by you? Everybody in the comments, because they were all apologizing to you the other day on that show.
And it was a stupid, it's not even like a victory lap type of thing. Like I hate that. I would love to take a victory lap. I'll take a victory lap on like Anthony Black doing really good right now because I love Anthony Black. I'm like, say yes, I'll take a victory lap on that. I hate the victory lap on this. It's more of, hey, I just want to remind you because some of the harsh stuff was coming back, like why I hate AD, and I never hated AD. I don't hate AD. It's the pure basketball asset standpoint of it.
I think you can hate the situation, and I think that's just fine because I hate the situation. I bet Anthony Davis hates this situation where he's been out with 6 different injuries through the course of this time, and he can't get his extension. I'm sure he does too. Yeah. Coming up, Daniel Gafford linked to a couple different teams. It seems like the trade stock is growing here for Daniel Gafford. Let's talk about what the Mavs could potentially get for him coming up. Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by FanDuel. Fridays always feel a little different during basketball season because FanDuel has NBA happy hour. You can take advantage of it, and you can get all kinds of different deals, limited time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Mavs against the Nets. This is a Monday. Mavs 3.5-point favorite. I know that's going to shock some of you that the Mavs are more than like a 1-point favorite against a team, but Mavs are at home. They're playing against the Nets. The Nets aren't very good, but I don't know what this new look Mavs team is going to look like because it did not look very good the other night against the Bulls at all. So you can check out that. You can check out all kinds of different offers and stuff. NFL football happening all throughout. You got the college football championship coming up. So before tip-off in the NBA, check out FanDuel app. See what's dropping during NBA happy hour every Friday from 5 to 6:30 Central Time. A little basketball, a little action, a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA happy hour only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA.
Shut it down! Oh, no! Let's go home!
Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad. That's what we call our listeners, listening every day. Appreciate you for checking out the show, listening. If you missed our reaction to the Anthony Davis injury that Isaac was referring to, go listen to that one.
A lot of you guys already listened to it. Got a lot of views the other day. So
that
thank
did
you.
get a lot of traction, a lot of comments. That's probably our highest commented episode this season so far. We've had some doozies.
Yeah.
Though. We've had a couple that have hit 1,000 comments, which have just been.
I kind of enjoyed reading through those comments.
We've had insane. Well, because they're all saying, I apologize to Isaac. Isaac's so smart. Isaac was right. Isaac.
No, I just like, hey, I want to, as the kids say, keep the same energy.
Some of them did. Some of them were like, this is good. We get to keep Anthony Davis through the offseason. And guess what? We get to see Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, a top 5 pick, and Cooper Flagg. And I was like,
imagine when that's healthy to start training camp and Lively. I'm like,
You've learned the wrong lesson from this, the whole thing. You've learned the wrong lesson.
I'm like, I use these same talking points just a few months ago. I'm like, dude, healthy AD, healthy Lively. This is crazy Cooper Flagg.
And then the Mavs check stopped clearing, and so we stopped carrying water for him.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah. Cuban doesn't pay me anymore.
The moral of this story was not like, well, hey, like whenever they're healthy, like, okay, that's the thing is whenever they're healthy, it's never going to happen. It just won't. I just firmly believe that at this point.
Yeah, I still don't think AD's on this roster at training camp. So
I do think, is it stupid of me that there's like, I think there's a small chance that he plays like 50 games next year and some team talks, or like 40 games before the trade deadline. Some team talks themselves into him.
On the Mavs next year, you think he plays like that many games?
Yeah. What is
No, I don't. I think he gets straight. Somebody sent in our insider thing the other day about a KD.
He gets 8 months to just like rehab and just like. And this time it's a hand. It's not like a retina thing. He could actually get in shape. Like they're.
Okay, somebody said in our Locked On Mavs insider program the other day, or maybe our Discord, that said something about the KD return for AD. I'm like, y'all think we're getting a 10th overall pick, a lottery pick, and like I know Jalen Green's contract is tough, over $30 million, but a young player like Jalen Green and a starter in Dylan Brooks, like I don't think we're getting the KD package.
Not all older.
I didn't have the heart to tell him in Discord or wherever.
Sad. Shout out to the text line, the insider program. Like Isaac said, you can subscribe to that. The link's in the description. Check the QR code. You get alerts and rumors all the time, including this rumor from Mark Stein. We sent this one right away and gave some thoughts.
Let's go, Stein.
Atlanta
Come through.
Stein just is dropping knowledge. You got to subscribe to his Substack. Absolutely. Atlanta said to have some interest in the Dallas big man alongside Indiana and Boston, which have widely explored the trade market for Anthony Simons, talking about Daniel Gafford. And we've talked about Daniel Gafford a couple of times. People have mentioned that Daniel Gafford is the most tradable player, the most, trades are the most open for Daniel Gafford right now. Tim Cato said that on our show that teams are talking about Daniel Gafford. Right now, with Anthony Davis out, with the Mavs looking to tank, I think this is the time to see what kind of value you can get for him. And if 3 teams are interested in him, I think that's something that's positive. There could be some kind of, like, he could actually get something for you in the trade market, and the Mavs need to get as many future assets as possible.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what happens with Atlanta now, because you only have so many assets, right? Like, you don't want to kill them all. And depending on who you talk to, it's like, oh, are they waiting on Giannis? And then is AD, and then it's like, all right, so now do they wait for AD like in the summer and then like try to make a cheap play for him? Then if they still want him, do they pivot again, like to somebody else? Do they go after a Sabonis? Do they, like whoever it is, like, and that's my only thing with, but if they're like, hey, no, we're completely out of the AD business, not even for KP and Kennard. And they're like, hey, we want another big, we'll do Gafford. Would you just do like Kennard and the Cavs pick?
Yeah, to get some. Well, the Cavs pick is so weird. Like the Cavs pick that the Hawks have. I don't even know where they get that. Like there's so many different. Like right now they get it, and it would be the 18th pick in the draft. But I think there are certain things that, like, I don't even want to read this. Atlanta gets the more favorable, less favorable of Atlanta, San Antonio, less favorable of Cleveland, more favorable of Utah 1 through 8, and Minnesota, then less favorable to Cleveland, more favorable. It's like I can't even make sense of what this swap is. If it's any kind of first round pick, honestly, like especially if it is straight up the Cavs one, and it's 18 or something, then yeah, I'm in on that. Like to get a first round pick for him, that's more than you really gave up for him.
A general rule of thumb for me of how I'm going into the deadline for the Mavs role players: Gafford, or it's Naji mid to late first, Gafford late first, Klay like an expiring contract or something. Like that's kind of like what I'm in my mind. So if they, so for like Gafford, I do think that you could have a team in there that will give you a pick in the 20s for a Gafford. So like you look at the Hawks and let's say, like I know he makes more than Kennard, but they can take more money back in a deal. So it's like Kennard in a first, or, I know Stein mentions the Pacers in there. We've talked about the Pacers in the past. It's a little harder with the Pacers because Dallas is probably wanting to get off Gafford's money. If that's the case, they don't have a big expiring contract around that. Like they have like Obi Toppin, but he's under contract for a few years. So if it's Toppin for Gafford, I'd want to pick, but I don't know why Pacers would do that. If Dallas is like, young prospect like a Jarris Walker, who was just a top 10 pick, 3 years ago in 2023. And it's like McConnell and Jarris Walker for Gafford. Sure. I mean, it's the Flyer. I don't know how you feel about Jarris Walker. The Boston one is intriguing to me because I think it's a pretty simple, you probably have to find a third team in there to take on some salary. I mean, you don't have to, but for me, an easy trade would be Anthony Simons to Dallas, Gafford and Klay to Boston, and then it's Hauser and a Boston, like 2 seconds or something to Brooklyn. because Brooklyn has a cap space to take on a contract. Sam Hauser, I mean, putting shooting, you could always want a youngish shooter, and you get a couple seconds to take on Hauser's contract, was like $10 million. And for Dallas, you're sending out more money than what you're getting back in Simons. You get a flyer on Simons. I don't hate Simons. I think Simons would be cool to even keep around at a reasonable cost. But in Boston, you're trading Simons and Hauser for Gafford and Klay. So
Simons is not the player that you remember him in Portland when he was killing the Mavs for those couple games. I feel like every time he came into the AAC, he was beating them. He's coming off the bench. He's averaging like 14 points a game. I don't know that he's definitely not part of their long-term future there. He's an expiring contract. The Gafford Klay for Simons works straight up. Like the Celtics did so much cap maneuvering with the Drew Holiday, with the Porzingis trades over the offseason, that they are under the first apron. So they can actually make a move like that. And they would be taking like $3 million in money.
I know that was the only thing is I feel like in some of the Boston reporting is like they want to try to get under the tax.
Yeah, but everybody wants something.
I was trying to think. I was trying to think of a way for them. Like if they send Hauser back, you could get everybody satisfied in that type of deal. Like Brooklyn gets some seconds to take on a contract. Boston gets closer to under the tax.
Take him.
Dallas, I think Dallas is sending out like 31 in that deal, and it's like 27 in Simons or something like that. So you can clear up, get closer to the tax stuff, bring on Nimhard, waive Exum, all that stuff. So
and the reason you do stuff like that, we'll tell you why coming up. Just like that one. Today's episode of Locked On Mavs brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA. You get $20 off your first purchase. There's all kinds of things you can do on Game Time during basketball season. There's nothing better than going to a game. Still, even though the Mavericks are not going to be playing the most competitive basketball, you've got to see Cooper Flagg, because you have to be able to say, I saw Cooper Flagg during his rookie year. Nets at Mavs right now, $17 is the lowest ticket. You can get in. That's the walk-in price right now on Game Time. I can go in. I can see the view from my seat. I can see exactly what I want. I know exactly what I'm going to pay at checkout because all the prices include fees. They also have the zone deals where I can just go click a zone and be like, all right, I want to sit in the section that I sit near 123. There you go. I can get a ticket for $64 right there. So go check out stuff on Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets. Use it with Game Time. Use it for all kinds of other things too, not just sports, but comedy, concerts, theater. I've used it for all those things. Bunch of Dallas Wings games. Download the Game Time app, create an account. Again, use the code LOCKEDONNBA. You get $20 off your first purchase. Code is LOCKEDON NBA, Locked On NBA, for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today and get in on the action.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
All right, Isaac, we're talking about Mavs trade rumors, and we're talking about this deal, Gafford and Klay for Simons, some other kind of third team in there, something like that. But the point for Dallas to get an expiring contract in Simons, to get off of Gafford and Klay, we're also going to talk about Naji here for the Mavs to get off these deals, is because when you didn't get rid of Anthony Davis, or if you're not going to be able to get rid of Anthony Davis, the Mavs are going to be close to a second apron team next summer or next season, and that cannot happen because you're just so stuck in. If you're a second apron team, you're stuck in flexibility. You're stuck in what you can trade. If you're a second apron team, you cannot trade more than one player at a time. There's just so many different things that you can't do as a second apron team. It's really screwed a lot of teams recently in flexibility. It's screwing the Cavs right now. Like, they can't make any real moves to try and improve their team. They just kind of got to Brandon Barrett and figure out what's going on. And Klay Thompson makes $17 million next year. Gafford makes $17 million next year. And then we'll talk about Naji. He makes $9 million next year. So this trade of Simons for Gafford and Klay clears up about $34 million next season. So the Mavericks would have way more flexibility to do more things. And if you can get any kind of assets for him, maybe Simons stays and he stays for like a $20 million, or like $22 million, something like that. You're still clearing up $12 million next season. And Simons is a guard that can hit a shot. He's a really good three-point shooter. Can get his own shot here or there. Mavs could use him as a piece off the bench, or start him with Kyrie if you're not going to be playing in the playoffs.
I'd probably use him off the bench. He would be fun off the bench. I mean, he's playing well right now.
Well, I just think you bring him in and you're going to be like, ooh, he's like the Mavs' third best player next year with Kyrie and Flagg. And if AD's not playing, like you just be like, oh, maybe I have to start this guy because he's just better than everybody else. But yeah, I think it'd be nice to take a flyer on him and see what you can get, but it is about clearing the money, and I think that's one of the most important things.
Yeah, I mean that was one of the things that they were prioritizing on AD deal. I think it stays the same. I mean, this is the thing that always happens whenever you have teams that have win now players that are going to be tanking, and now they have vets that can be used on other teams. So now Dallas becomes one. I mean, there's not a ton of teams out there right now that are like, hey, we're sellers, and we actually have contracts that aren't horrific that some teams might want. And you look at a guy like Naji, and I hate it. We've said before, I love Naji on this team. If they keep him, great. He'll help this team next year. He's become the point of attack, defender guy. He's having a good year. But with the lack of wing options on the trade market, it feels like some win now teams, some contending type teams will come calling and really want Naji. That's why I'm like, if you tell me like the Mavs got like a mid first round pick for Naji before the deadline, like it would not shock me. Like if OKC came calling with one of their million first round pick, I mean, they're going to have they could have 3 first round picks next year, which is stupid. But if like OKC came calling, it's like they probably wouldn't give you the what?
They have 9, 19, and I think they could have one more, right? The Portland one or there's one more they could have.
Yeah, so I think it's one of those top 8 picks that it's one
Utah's.
of those top.
Yeah, they would get Utah's pick if it's not in the top 8.
Yeah, so would they give you the Clippers pick at 9, or whatever it is right now for Naji? Probably not, but would they give you that other trade? The what?
The Philly one is it 19 right now?
Yeah, so if you got a pick in the teens for Naji, OKC I think could use him. They got a spare first through there. You see why Dallas could possibly do that. You look at a team like the Lakers, could they build a bigger package in that deal if it's like Gafford and Naji for Vincent and Vincent's expiring and something else, and you may try to get that other first.
That first round pick they should have gotten in the Luka trade.
I think Naji's market's a little harder because I think there's going to be multiple teams out there that everybody would want a Naji Marshall type of guy. You look at a guy like Klay. Klay is the harder one, man. You want to do right by Klay. You want to send him to a contender if you trade. I feel like there's a decent chance that Klay might be on this team. And I would be perfectly fine with it. But I also wouldn't be shocked if 24 hours from now they're like, hey, the Mavs are working with Klay and his agent to find him a new home.
Yeah.
Just because where he's at in his career and stuff. And so for him, I mean, Lakers, Heat, OKC, Spurs, Magic, maybe. I mean, if the Spurs called and said a Olynyk and a first round pick, I mean, Olynyk doesn't even play for him because he's been hurt and stuff. Olynyk's expiring. Because I think for Dallas, you're not going to probably get a pick out of this, but could you get, an expiring contract like a Kelly Olynyk? Could you get it's like him and somebody else for the Rozier expiring contract if they can trade, Terry Rozier, or like Jonathan Isaac's contract in Orlando? They always need more shooting down there. An interesting one that I just want to throw out here like a grenade for Mavs fans just to be pissed about.
Are we late enough in the show for you to do this? I think we
Yeah, I think we're late in the show for me to do this. If OKC called and said, hey, we want Klay and Naji, and we'll trade you Dort, Ousmane Dieng, and a first.
Dort has not played well at all this season.
No, he sucked this year, and he's the dirtiest player in the league.
He is. He stiff armed a guy today in a game. Did you see that clip?
Dude, yes, no, he is so
legitimately right in front of the ref. It just stiff arms a player. And he gets called for an offensive foul, which is good. But and then, okay, so I lost my mind as soon as you said Dort. Okay, Dort, Ousmane Dieng, and what?
And a first.
Any kind of first. I feel like I'm taking right now. You just gotta.
But it's Klay and Naji.
Yeah, because you get. Yeah. I mean,
so the Philly first.
That gets you off $26 million next year. You get the 19.
Well,
picks,
Dort's contract's not expiring though.
That's a good point. What's Dort making 18 next year?
It's around Klay's, I think.
Is he cleared 9?
Usman's His is expiring. You get the flyer at Usman Jang. Like, if you're doing a deal with OKC,
Usman Jang in the draft.
I did. You're getting Usman Jang in for the rest of the year and just being like, dude.
Is a team option though. It's not guaranteed.
Oh,
$0 are guaranteed. So there you go. That I'm in on the deal. I will watch 40 games of Luguentz Dort to get a first round pick. I think that's the cost. The cost is not losing the players. The cost is that the Mavs fans would have to watch Dort.
I don't even know how I would have to like defend him. Like,
well, you don't have to defend him. You just let him take the shot. Like, it's fine.
It's like, no, I don't think he actually meant to do that on purpose, guys. Like, really? It's like, no, that guy flopped.
They would have an enforcer guy around Flagg. If anybody tries to mess with Flagg, you've got somebody you can just throw in there to karate
I don't even know
chop.
if he's an enforcer. He's kind of full of crap because he doesn't
Kid can just switch him onto whichever player he wants to smack.
I mean, he's kind of like your point of attack guy. You get a first round pick, Usman.
He will attack. That's true. He will attack. The kid will point and he will attack.
I'm not saying I would do that. I'm just saying that like that's a type of deal, and OKC is looking at it and saying, hey, like we have other perimeter defenders that we'd rather have Klay shooting than Dort's defense, and then they get Naji to kind of replace that defense too.
I'm not sure they can take on that. I'm not sure they can take on money next year. They're they'd be $23 million above the second apron.
I mean, they're going to figure crap out anyway. It's not about next year. It's about winning the title this year.
They got to capitalize on their window right now. So.
If I'm Dallas, I'm saying, give me that Clippers pick.
Dang, you imagine?
The Clippers pick with Dort and Usman Jang for Klay and Naji. You have me intrigued.
Interesting. We'll have a show tomorrow covering the Mavs versus Nets game. All kinds of good stuff happening from this show. So subscribe to the text line and the Everydayers Club. You get access to ad-free episodes of this show, and you also get access to the Discord, and you get all kinds of stuff on that. So subscribe. Links in the description. Thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs. Thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs.
Peace out.
Boom. Isaac drinking whole milk over there.